Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're going to be continuing on with the Wheel of Time, doing the Eye of the World. But I first want to say this, I am going to be doing a book giveaway here. So stay tuned to the end of the video to find out which book you can win and how to win it. That'll be at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. So going into now, I guess the review and the chat, obviously there's too much to cover here because it's a 783 page book story with actually the prologue being in Roman numerals, and that was probably about 7-8 pages. So you're looking at around 780. With the glossary, it was 800. Um, so my fear going into a book of this length is that it would take 300, 400 pages to set everything up and to have the action begin, because New Spring was kind of a slow mover, as you know, Moiraine was looking to become Aes Sedai, and Lan was, out, doing what he was doing before he became her warder. So, I was afraid that this would be kind of that slow, and it actually isn't. Um, but the interesting thing is that it doesn't come from this book doesn't come from the perspective of Moiraine and Lan. It mainly comes from Rand when he is in the chapter. Um, he is the main character. The book really settles around three young kids from Two Rivers: Rand, Mat, and Perrin. And then there's Egwene, which is, I guess, Rand's girlfriend, sort of, maybe not, but it's kind of played off that way. Um, and then there's the village wisdom, Nineveh, if I'm pronouncing that right, or it could be Nineveh. But those are the five of the main, and then you throw in Moiraine and Land. Once they come in at about page 100 to 150, the book starts to pick up, and the action just kind of goes. And I found the further that I went into this book, I couldn't put it down. It was a page turner. I would set it down, and then it was just, I would have to go on. I'd have to pick it up and start reading again. I just couldn't keep it set down. So, what the premise is, if you remember from the New Spring video and the book, was Moiraine is trying to find the Dragon Reborn. And what it basically boils down to is one of these three, Rand, Mat, or Perrin, is supposed to be the Dragon Reborn. Now, I'm not going to tell you which one it is. You find out toward the end of the book, though it does kind of give it away in the middle, but I'm still not going to tell you. In case you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it for you. But you do find out who it is. And basically, it's them running away from the Dark One, Baalzamon, who keeps invading their dreams and trying to get them to submit to him, and them trying to be strong enough to resist that, resist his call. Um, and along the way, they face Trollocs, which I guess would be, like trolls, though they have like different faces. They're different animals, and some have feet, some have hooves. It's kind of an interesting blend. There's the Fades, um, and the Dark One is just really the Shadow. Um, and it's them trying to get to the eye of the world, and because their need is so great, their need is the need of the world, that they're trying to find the eye of the world. And what happens there, again, I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to spoil it, but I will say this: it was really good. Robert Jordan's writing style is really clear. He keeps everything moving. He doesn't really stop to spend 2-3 pages describing a surrounding. It just kind of keeps flowing, even when it's not like a battle action. The things are still kind of flowing and moving, and it's in flux, and there's a lot of little twists and turns that come in, because the wheel spins as the wheel will, kind of thing. The pattern, and you know I think it's a really good book. Now, I've read some reviews of people who have said, this is nothing but really a cheap knockoff of Tolkien. And yes, I guess if you do the comparison, you can find those similarities. The Trollocs would be maybe similar to the orcs. The Fades could be the Nazgul. The Dark One, Balzaman, could be Sauron, who's imprisoned. So yeah, and there were four hobbits, three young men from Two Rivers. Uncrowned King, which is Lan, could be Aragon. So, if you make that comparison, you're going to find that yes, there's stuff drawn from Tolkien, but I don't think there's a fantasy book out there that you can read that isn't really drawn from Tolkien. Just because, Tolkien started writing Middle Earth books, stories in 1917 during World War One, and he covered, through 3 or 4 ages, he covered so many different creatures and so many different things. It's like, how can you create a fantasy or high fantasy book like this and not pull from it? So, if you're going to compare everything back to Tolkien, the master, then yes, everything is going to fall short. It's going to seem like a ripoff. Just like, if you take any childhood fantasy book or young adult fantasy book, it could all go back to the Chronicles of Narnia. Or if you're looking at mystery murders, Agatha Christie books, the masters, the ones that came first, that use all of these elements, made it hard for now the new fantasy writers who have been so influenced by Tolkien anyway, to come up with anything on their own. But if you take the view that I did, and I took the story that Robert Jordan was telling in this book, the story that he's trying, and what he's trying to set up in the following books. And I'm not sitting there comparing it to Tolkien and what would Tolkien do, and this is, Tolkien's version of this, his version of, because if you're going to do that, then you might as well not pick up another fantasy book ever again, because it's going to fall short. So, if you take the story for what he's trying to tell and what he's trying to set up, and it's 14 books, long books, and I haven't read the other ones yet. I'm going to be getting into The Great Hunt, which is book 2, next. I haven't started it yet. I'm doing this one first, and then I'm going to go into start actually reading the prologue for it. But if you have to keep this for what it is, and that is that it's a story that is different from The Lord of the Rings. It's not the same. And if you can do that, and you can focus just on what Robert Jordan is trying to paint for you, the story that he's trying to paint, and where he's trying to go with it, I think you'll enjoy this book. If the rest of the series is nearly as good as this book, it's going to be a great series, because, this book to me was really, really great. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. And, I mentioned, the Tolkien thing, that you can't compare. Because if you try to compare, it's just not going to compare. Everything's going to fall short to Tolkien, unless you don't like Tolkien. Maybe Tolkien moved too slow for you, and, not then, you didn't get very far in Lord of the Rings, so you don't compare. But, if you're a Tolkien fan, a Tolkien nut like I am, if you compare every fantasy book that has any kind of like trolls or orcs, or, even going back to in 2021, before I started this channel, I read The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. And, you had the elves who, lived forever, or almost forever. You had the dwarves who lived in caves, and then you had kind of the trolls, orcs kind of things, So again, if you look at that, then that's a cheap knockoff of Tolkien. Then is what you could make the comparison. But by not comparing it, I found that that series was a lot better than I thought it would be. But and I really, really enjoyed it. So again, not comparing this to Tolkien, because you can't. You can't. But with that being said, I would recommend this, because it's a great book. It's a long book. But it's something that it keeps going. It keeps moving, and it keeps you engaged. And he paints such a great picture that's easy to visualize in your head and get that movie going. Eventually, I'm going to probably watch the Amazon series of this. I don't know where that ends up. Maybe in the comments below you can let me know where season 1 of the Amazon series ends within the books. I don't want any kind of spoilers, even though I heard they changed a lot in the TV series. So you can let me know in the comments below. I would appreciate that as well. But yeah, 5 stars on Goodreads. I highly recommend this. And again, if this book is as good as the rest, if this book is anywhere, the rest of the series, I'm sorry, is as close to this book, it's going to be great, and I'm going to love it. Even though it's so long, and it's probably going to take me, 5, maybe 6 months to get through all of them, probably at the pace, my schedule. It'll be time well spent, I think. So yeah, I recommend it. So now going back to the beginning of the video, as I said, there's going to be a book giveaway. I do have a pre-owned copy. I have not read it. I do have multiple copies of it though. Nightmare by Piers Anthony, part of the Xanth series. That book is up for a giveaway here. So here's how you win, or here's how you can win it. First, subscribe if you haven't already. Then like this video, turn on the notifications, and then leave a comment down below, whether it's, what you thought of this series, where did the Amazon show kind of leave off in terms of the books. Did they change a lot? But don't give me any spoilers, please, because I want to find out as I'm reading. So please, no spoilers in the comments. If you have a Goodreads username and you want to connect on there, you can even leave that. You can let me know what you think. Do you like this kind of background, what I'm using now, or what I used last year, where it's the bookshelf behind me? And you could even put that in. But what I will do is I will then choose a random comment, and if that person is a subscriber, then they will win the book. I will get with you, and we'll figure out the way to get the book to you. I'm going to be doing book giveaways throughout the year. I have a lot of books that I have a couple of copies of. So I don't need 2 copies of books. So I'll be giving those away throughout this series, throughout the year, on the channel. But that's how you can win Nightmare by Piers Anthony, part of the Xanth series. Just subscribe, like, turn on the notifications, and leave a comment. And I will respond to your comment. And what I will do is, when I finish The Great Hunt, and I don't know when that will be. I know it's clocking over 600 pages, but once that one is done, then I will go through and I will pick the random comment, and I will let you know in the next video who wins. So I thank you for watching, and God bless. And again, subscribe, like, leave a comment below, turn on the notifications so you know when new videos come up. And again, as always, thank you for watching, God bless, and keep YouTube literate. Bye-bye.